This man had all he needed for a quieter, more comfortable life. His family held great power in their country, possessing a vast fortune and excellent relations with the French colonial authorities. But against all odds, this man dedicated his life to Pan-Africanism. As you can imagine, advocating for Pan-Africanism during colonial times exposes one to very negative consequences. The tale of Kodjo Tovalou Houénou starts here. It is April 25th, Coke, Porto Novo, in present-day Benin. This is where Mark Tovalou Houénou is born. He also comes from a wealthy family, as I mentioned. His parents are very close to the colonial authorities present in Dahomey at that time. Everything is set for him to have a peaceful childhood, and it was true. He enjoyed a calm, peaceful, and comfortable childhood. During the years, as it happens for many families, he arrives in France, specifically in Bordeaux, well off from Africa. So it was decided to send him to France to study. He passes his bac with flying colors and opts to study medicine. Everything is going smoothly. The guy comes from a wealthy family. His family gets along well with the French colonial authorities, and his stay in France is going very well. So he idolizes France. However, in 1914, World War I broke out. Kodjo decides to go fight for France, but he serves as a military doctor. In 1915, a year later, he acquires French citizenship. It was very difficult for a black person to obtain French nationality back then. Thus, he gains French nationality. At that time, he is called Mark Tovalou Houénou. So one of honey. He loves France, his family supports him financially, he has a good quality of life, and he is a doctor. Everything is going well. However, he goes back to Dahomey, where he encounters situations that will deeply affect him. There he returns as an adult and witnesses scenes where the Dahomeyans are victims of injustices at the hands of the French colonial authorities present in the territory to the harm of the whites. And this creates a questioning within him. He begins to question the legitimacy of the colonial authorities' presence in his country. He starts to reflect on himself. He questions a whole system he has always accepted. He decides to create an organization called the Franco-Dahomeyan Friendship Organization, aimed at promoting African and Dahomeyan values, among others. In the process, he is so moved by all this that he decides to abandon his name Mac for a much more African name, which is Kodjo. So this marks the beginning of his journey into Pan-Africanism. But this is really just the very first step. We see a hint of Pan-Africanism beginning to grow in him. Yet, events will occur that will solidify his stance. Indeed, after returning to France, he will encounter several racist acts in just a few months. The most memorable racist act he encountered happened while he was in a theater in Montmartre, a famous district in Paris. American tourists nearby insisted he be removed from the theater, as it was unimaginable for a black person to be there and occupy a place, and the theater owner complied. Kodjo was thrown out of the theater. I recount this tale, but I think it's crucial to be fair. The French press rallied behind him. Everyone was on his side, yet this did not remove the bitter feeling he had, as he started to genuinely face the racism and inequalities that black individuals experience. He started asking questions. He felt he had to take action, so he flew to the US, where he met Marcus Garvey, the key figure Marcus Garvey, with whom they would have deep discussions. They would connect. After returning to France, he even created a branch of Marcus Garvey's organization in France. Thus, he began to take action, except the young boy who was validated by the press, the young boy who was loved by France, saw his whole world collapse because France did not appreciate any of this. He was classified as a communist, a person taking subversive actions. He faced a lot of trouble. His organization was dismantled, and that was truly the beginning of all his problems. At this stage, he went back to the US, where he would again be a victim of racist acts. He understood that in France he was no longer welcome, thus he chose to go back to Dahomey, to Benin if you prefer. There he tried repeatedly to change things, to take action, to make a difference. But time and again he would be arrested. He would try to get involved in politics. The French colonial authorities did not view this favorably, thus they arrested him multiple times. He would return to the United States, so he would continue his comings and goings between the United States, France and Dahomey. In vain. In reality, his actions won't lead him anywhere because there won't necessarily be any follow-up. At that time, the colonial authorities were firmly established on the continent. So, he figured he had just one option, to leave those three countries since he was always having problems. So he decides to return to France one last time, where he meets the woman who will become his wife. In fact, during this time, he meets the American opera singer Robert Dodd Crawford, an African American. They will end up together. Love, a chance encounter, so they will be together. Given the situation, they both relocate to Senegal, knowing that over the years, he sought to run for president in his country multiple times but was unsuccessful. He relocates to Senegal, where he continues to promote emancipation and Pan-Africanism. Quickly, he gets arrested multiple times. He gets arrested again, and a year later he succumbs to typhoid fever. It is the year of the rat. Kodjo Tovalou Houénou has passed away from typhoid fever. But the most shocking part of this story, well, the part that disturbed me, is that his wife, who was left by herself, could not benefit from her husband's inheritance because France stopped her from taking possession of her husband's inheritance, as if they aimed to punish him in life and even after his death. The tale of Kodjo Tovalou Houénou is one that has inspired me. I know some will argue he had a very comfortable lifestyle, and it was only when he encountered the realities of black people in Lambda that he began to shift his perspective. That's a sound argument. But I believe that having the courage to stand up to the French colonial authorities at that time deserves all the respect. I think that in the comfort of his financial situation, he could have stayed in his bubble. He saw the realities faced by black people. However, he chose to fight for Pan-Africanism and African values. For that alone, I have great respect for him. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Also, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on my TikTok page because I regularly post videos. That's it for now. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.